Hello, everybody. I think that's everybody joining us now. Thank you for taking the time today to join this webinar. And we'll be talking about how you move on from qualifying membership and making the most of CIEEM's tools to help with upgrading and your career progression. So we do hope you find this session informative and it gives you some helpful advice about how to upgrade. So yeah, a quick introduction. My name is Christy Hamilton. I'm a professional development coordinator here at CIEEM, and I've been here now for nearly 5 years. I mainly manage our online CPD tool, my career path, the annual CPD audit, our conference and webinar program, as well as our degree accreditation scheme. I'm also joined by Saz Hayward, who hopefully you can see on the screen, and she will introduce herself to you shortly. Just a quick one, if you do have any questions, please do pop them in the Q&A box, which hopefully you can see on your toolbar. Feel free to pop these in throughout the session, and then myself and Saz will look to answer those once we've finished the presentation. So if we just talk about what we're going to cover today, and we're going to look at what is your membership journey. We'll talk about our competency framework and how to use the self-assessment tool that's available. We'll also touch on continuing professional development, what it is and how to record it. Then we'll also go through an upgrade form and guidance around using this. And then we'll have our Q&A session. So once again, yeah, please do pop questions in throughout the session today. So that's it from me for now. I'll now hand over to my colleague Saz. Thank you, Saz.
Hi, thanks, Christy. So I'm Saz, and I've worked in the membership team since joining CIEEM about 8 years ago. So I'm the membership officer and look after assessment process of our associate and full membership applications. And these are reviewed by our volunteer assessors, as well as developing our membership offer for the early career grades. And this means like linking up with Christy and supporting development opportunities for our student and qualifying members, and to improve the information and benefits. So I am just going to stop my video because just to save some bandwidth, and I'll talk you through my slides. So as you'll hopefully already be aware, CIEEM offers a range of membership grades, and our competency framework underpins our membership journey. Our membership grades reflect our members' skills, experience, and professional competence, and recognise that as your career develops, so will your relationship with us as your professional body, and you'll move through the grades. CIEEM's competency framework identifies the skills, knowledge, and behaviours expected of those studying, working, and volunteering in the profession, and groups them into 4 levels of competence, which you can see on the screen. So that's basic, capable, accomplished, and authoritative. As you can see, our student and qualifying grades membership are available to those starting out in their career and are either at basic level of competence or working towards basic. Our full fellow and chartered members are at the other end of our membership journey, having worked for several years and have expertise on increasingly complex projects, meaning they're now working at accomplished level. Our associate membership sits between these, and hopefully that's what you're going to be working towards. So what is a competency framework? Previously mentioned, competencies are skills, knowledge and behaviours that are required to perform certain activities well, and which are critical to success in specific professional roles. A competency framework pulls these together and describes the different levels of competence across a range of skill areas, which are expected of those working in an organisation or a particular profession. So frameworks can often have a wide range of competencies, enabling it to support people in quite a wide range of roles. CIEEM's competency framework can be used in a number of ways for membership and career progression. So it's really worth getting familiar with and using it as a reference tool whilst you remain a member. It promotes high standards of professional practice within the sector. It helps with deploying and upgrading membership, which I'll talk through further. And that is by helping you identify current levels of competence, and it can help to identify those strengths and development areas, helping you demonstrate progression, your level of knowledge and skill set. You can then use the framework to pick areas you're interested in, and it helps structures evidence for an upgrade. For those not yet working in sector, it helps see what those transferable and technical skills could be required by employers. And in identifying areas of development, this can then be used to plan your professional development. Many of CIEEM's training courses are aligned with the competency framework and are designed to improve knowledge and skills under relevant competence themes. And it also can be used to identify shared expectations between line managers, peers, with clients and general public. Some companies use it as their internal development framework, and it can be a useful tool to support junior staff. So I'm going to go into a bit more detail about CIEEM's competency framework and how to refer to the document itself. I know that most of our current qualifying members will have already engaged with this when submitting their qualifying membership form. So I appreciate that some of you may have already utilised the document, but because it's such an important part of the upgrade process, I'm just going to talk through it. So you can download a copy of our competency framework document from our membership applying for membership webpage, and it's under Join CIEEM. I'll show you later. We also have available a video titled CIEEM's Competency Framework, which is available to view, which also guides you through the framework in a bit more detail. So after you've pulled up the document and you've got it in front of you, after some introductory information about the framework, at the start of the document, which it just explains kind of what it is, why it matters, as well as the different levels of competence that relate to our different grades, you'll come to the sort of kind of the actual framework itself. The framework is broken down into transferable and technical competencies that you can see on the screen. These cover the 14 themes from different things such as communication to surveying. Technical competencies are those related to the ecology and environmental sector, whereas the transferable skills can come across from all areas of work, including volunteering, any academic experience. To get started with using the document, you need to have a think about your academic, voluntary and professional experience so far and identify an area that you're interested in or have experience in. Then you need to locate the relevant theme within our framework to have a closer look at it. Once you've identified a suitable theme and found it within the document, and you've read through the descriptors on the sort of like the left-hand side of the page, or if you're viewing the sort of framework electronically, the first page where it states what the competence theme is, you then come to the coded competencies. The competencies are coded. So in front of you, you've got, for example, S1 and S2, and these come under the surveying theme. So for each competency, you're going to get to this page, which is a summary of the typical activity under a competency theme that may be expected. So this is providing you with an overview of the types of work and skills we're looking for in this area. What you then need to do is move down and go to the next page for more detail about the individual competency levels for this skill area. So that's going on to the next slide. So currently looking at the overall descriptors, and then you go into more detail and you look at the individual descriptors. So in reading about what the theme is about, this is where you're looking more detail at the different competency levels for the particular competencies. This provides greater detail as what we expect applicants to be able to evidence at our different competence levels. So by comparing and looking at what the differences are between competency levels, it will help you to see where you may already fit and the areas you might need to work on. So in this example, where we are looking at S1, which is habitat species survey design, planning and fieldwork, you can see at the basic level, people are aware of principles, have an understanding and use commonly applied fieldwork techniques. At the capable level, you're designing surveys within a chosen field, more confident and starting to support and encourage others. So you can start to see there's a bit of a step up in terms of experience and knowledge as you go through the competence levels. So it's worth taking the time to look at the difference between the levels to understand what key pieces of evidence you might need to provide within an upgrade application to demonstrate competence levels. So for a membership upgrade, you don't necessarily need to provide evidence against all of the points detailed, but at the associate capable level, we will expect to see the majority of them addressed in your evidence. So I will go back to Christy now, but I will be picking back up about the upgrading process afterwards, and I'll pick this back up. Christy's now going to talk about identifying the sort of competencies using our different tools so that you can develop and choose them for your associate membership upgrade form.
Thanks so much, Saz. Yes, so to complement the competency framework, we have a competency framework self-assessment tool. This tool will help you to identify with greater ease the areas of the competency framework in which you are most likely to be the most competent. Our self-assessment tool enables you to identify your strongest competencies and also areas for future development. So how does it do this? Well, it's an interactive tool available on our website for everyone to use, and it has a list of every competency and uses a series of indicator statements under each one to help you see whether you are likely to already meet the majority of the expectations for each competence level. By answering yes or no, the tool will assign you a score to your responses and calculate whether you have sufficient yes answers to be able to evidence particular competencies. The tool enables you to work through as many competencies as you like, and by answering yes or no to a series of statements, you will be given an indication of which level of competence you are currently working at. Remember that the statements in the tool, unless they state otherwise, assume that you have carried out tasks to the required standard on several occasions, not just once or twice. You can try as many competencies as you like, and your results will be saved and updated over time as you use the tool again in the future, should you use it to help monitor your progress. You can access a link to the tool via the upgrade pages within the My CIEEM area of the website and on the continuing professional development pages of our main website. So you can use the tool to find out where you currently sit with your existing level of competence, check what is expected for relevant competencies at each competence level and how you move forward. This then allows you to plan your professional or personal development to progress your current competencies or identify new areas you wish to explore with a view to your future career path. It can help you to see whether you are ready to apply for or to upgrade your CIEEM membership, or which grade is most appropriate for you if you are not yet a member. It can remind you of areas of work that contribute to your overall competence, but which you might ordinarily overlook when asked to demonstrate this. The tool even emails the results for each competency to you so that it is recorded for your future reference. So you have used the competency framework, the self-assessment tool to work out where you currently are and where you want to get to. To help you get there, CIEEM offers a wealth of CPD opportunities, all at discounted prices for our members. It's worth taking a look at the training and events pages on our website, where you can find further details on training, conferences, webinars, and more local member network events. Our training courses usually run all over the UK and Ireland. And at the moment, obviously, quite a lot is still online. And they are at all levels, from very beginner to advanced, and across a huge variety of subjects, from BATS to badges, ECIA, HRA, ECAL, and report writing. The courses each match across to the competency framework too, to help make your planning easier. The final tool at your disposal is our CPD tool, My Career Path. And this isn't just to give you a pat on the back for all you've achieved, but it's important for you to evidence for your membership upgrade application. And why should you plan and record CPD? Well, relevant planned CPD can increase your sense of job satisfaction, improve confidence in your performance, and increase your personal efficiency. It can also help you progress towards a desired role or career path. It's also useful for planning your future CPD. So the tool has a plan area where you can assess the gaps in your current CPD and identify relevant areas of skill and knowledge that needs enhancing. As a CIEEM member, like I said, you will have access to this CPD plan, which is incorporated within My Career Path. When used together, these resources will help you to identify gaps in your professional competencies and plan ahead to meet your CPD needs. And as Saz has already said, competencies are the skills, knowledge, abilities, and personal attributes that are essential to performing your job well. So if we move on, there's different types of CPD. So you can have unstructured or structured CPD. And as part of being a member of CIEEM, you need to complete at least 30 hours of CPD per year. 20 of those hours are required to be structured. And the other 10 can either be structured or unstructured CPD. So here are just a few examples of the different types. So structured CPD can be attending conferences, training, webinars like this one today, presenting papers and giving talks, work shadowing, volunteer work, being part of the mentoring scheme, either as a mentee or a mentor, supervised research, distance learning programs. So yeah, there's just a few examples for you there. I think it's quite often our members just think it's attending CIEEM training courses and CIEEM conferences, but it can also be attending any kind of event that you've been to. And there's also other areas that count towards structured CPD. And here are just a few examples of unstructured CPD. So that can include maintaining a blog or website, networking at conferences, online research, and then just online reading technical publications or even listening to podcasts. So hopefully that gives you a wide range of different types of CPD that you're probably already completing now without realizing. So yeah, just a quick note to utilize the online CPD tool and record all of this on there so that you have it as a reference. Okay, so in summary, so we've introduced you to a number of tools that can help you plan and progress your career and help you with upgrading. But just to pull it all together, so we've got the competency framework and self-assessment tool. So you can use this to see where you currently are and what level of competence you're working at. The competency framework, you use this to see where you want to get to and identify areas of strength and development. The CPD tool, so use the planning area to plan your route and what you need to do to get there and keep a record of it. And undertake the relevant CPD activities. And finally, coming back to the tool again to record that and what you've learned, achieved, and importantly, how you're applying it and how it's increased your level of competence. If you would like further information on how to use my career path, there is a webinar on how to use the tool, which can be found on the homepage of my CIEEM. And also please do feel free to email cpd@cieem.net if you have any further queries around CPD. Career development and progression is a continuous cycle which doesn't stop no matter where you are in your career or whatever membership grade you are. We should all take the time to stand back, review where we are, work out where we want to be and plan how to get there. Put your plan into action, keep moving forward and keep a record of all that you've achieved. We hope that our tools can help you to do this with greater ease as well as helping you with upgrading your membership, which now links to what Saz is about to talk about. So I'll hand back over to Saz. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. So why upgrade? We have members from a diverse range of backgrounds, and it is important that members are at a grade of membership that best reflects their skill set and their level of expertise, i.e. their competence. So by being at the right grade, you will gain greater professional recognition and be able to take advantage of a broader range of benefits and receive support, guidance and information, which is then more appropriate to you. There are a growing number of organisations and agencies who recognise CIEEM's competency framework, and then this is in turn opening up opportunities within the sector for our members to take advantage of. You will often see that on job descriptions and job specifications that having CIEEM membership is a requirement, or that employees are at least eligible for it. Sometimes companies will actually even list a specific membership grade. So just a reminder that our qualifying grade of membership supports all those at the early career stages of the career, whether that's graduates or non-graduates. So this grade is to welcome early career ecologists and environmental managers, allowing them to benefit from CPD and networking opportunities that CIEEM has to offer, and kind of at the earliest opportunity. Qualifying members need to identify what competence they are developing rather than demonstrate what they've already got. We'd expect our qualifying members to be at a basic level of competence, building knowledge and skills through study, practical experience and supervision. You'd have some understanding of the terminology and concepts and some experience of practical application. And you're allowed to remain at the qualifying grade for up to 3 years since admission into that grade. For associate membership, your career may now well be underway and you're ready to upgrade. Upgrading to associate membership will not only help your personal development, but also professional recognition, and it will build on your experience that you've already gained as a qualifying member. This is kind of our new aspirational benchmark for competent ecologists. In terms of the competency framework for this grade, and as sort of previously mentioned, you'll be working at the capable level of competence, which means you're now working confidently and consistently well on increasingly complex projects without supervision, and you may even be supervising others from time to time. Associate level members should be able to evidence capable competence in 7 competencies. Our associate members have in common a drive to increase their knowledge and experience, developing their career and promote the highest standards of practice for the benefit of nature and society. You do receive an CIEEM post-nominal that you do put next to your name. So if you are considering applying to upgrade to associate or even full membership, you'll need to complete an application form that is different to our qualifying form, and it's reviewed by our volunteer assessors. You'll be asked to provide both some personal and work contact details, a summary of qualifications held and work experience, and a few other pieces of information, such as any academic background, sort of licenses and things held. And you also are asked to include 3 years worth of CPD records, or since you became a qualifying member. So you need to pull these all together on the CPD records all together on the CPD tool that Christy's already mentioned. Basically, the key difference with applications for the qualifying associate grades is that it contains a summary of competence section. So make sure you refer to the applying for membership guidance document, as that really does talk you through in more detail the process of going for a competency assessed grade. Within the competency section of the form, you'll need to provide evidence of capable level competence for 7 competencies using our competency framework, and you provide 350-word written statements about each. One of those competencies is professional conduct. It's a mandatory competency, and as you can see on the screen, there is a mix of transferable and technical skills that you'll need to write about. Professional conduct is about your understanding of what it means to uphold high standards of conduct and what ethical concerns or considerations you might have or might come across. CIEEM has a code of professional conduct that we ask all our members to abide by. So you've picked professional conduct and you write about that as a mandatory one. You then need to choose 2 more transferable competencies, 3 technical, and then 1 from either technical or transferable. We don't expect our qualifying members to necessarily use the competencies they chose in their original qualifying membership form, as you may have changed paths and now be competent in other skill areas. So referring back to the competency framework again, because it's really worth taking the time probably to look at the difference between the levels to understand what key pieces of evidence you might need to provide within your application to satisfactorily demonstrate the higher level of competence. As for associate, it's the capable level across all 7 of your statements. You don't necessarily need to provide evidence against all of the competency points detailed, but as previously mentioned, under capable level, we will expect to see the majority of them addressed in your evidence. So for membership upgrades to associate, we recommend using the STAIR method to help you structure your evidence. It's also quite a useful structure to apply if you are applying for jobs that are based on competence. So the S is for a situation, a T is for the task which is required to be undertaken, A is for the actions that you took, R is for the results of those actions, and E is for evaluation. What did you learn or take away from that situation? So when you're thinking about completing a competency assessed application, such as the associate membership, it's really worth spending some time to come up with some examples you could use to evidence your competence. And that's why recording activities down on a CPD tool can be handy to refer back to. What did I do? What were the results? And was there any learning you took away? And how did you evaluate what you did? And is there anything you would do differently in the future? They're just some important things to think about. Don't just list what you've done, but provide examples and include how well that example went. You must try and utilise the word counts to their fullest to provide evidence that clearly demonstrates your knowledge and ability. You have 350 words to write each competency statement. So that's 7 statements and you have 350 words for each. Always refer back to the competency framework. Does your evidence cover the majority of the descriptors at the capable level? The descriptors will give you an idea of the sort of evidence the assessors are expecting to see in your application. And this is what they'll assess you against. And do remember to proofread your evidence. Take some time just to read back through your evidence and ensure your spelling and punctuation is correct. Also ask your sponsors to do this as part of the sponsoring process. So going on to say about sponsors, sponsors do play a critical role in upholding the integrity of the standards of membership. So you use your sponsors, line manager and colleagues to discuss potential examples and to help you think about how best to demonstrate your competence. For associate applications, you'll need 2 sponsors who must confirm that the information contained in your application form about your competence and your professionalism is correct. To do this, they have to have sufficient knowledge of the quality of your practice as a professional. Your sponsors should ideally be members of CIEEM, and if they are members of CIEEM, they need to be at the same grade that you're applying for or above. But we do accept non-member sponsors. You just need to actually attach their CVs or a work profile if you do use non-member sponsors. We have a guidance document for sponsors available, and that's on our website, and you can send that to the people you're considering approaching to read through before they agree to act as your sponsor. Sponsors don't need to make statements themselves. It's a tick box that they use for each of your competency statements. What happens next? Sometimes people sort of ask, well, what do I do once a form's submitted, and what happens? So kind of this is just to say that once you've emailed us an application, you'll receive confirmation of receipt, and the membership team do then start to begin to process it. We do some administrative checks. We're not assessors ourselves, but we do look at it to check that it's okay to go off and be sent to assessors. So things like sort of sponsor checks and CPD. We do also then advise you of the current processing time for the associate applications, and that will come out in your acknowledgement email. That's currently taking us about 3 to 4 months. So just beware that it's not a quick thing, that it does take some time to be processed. And you'll be asked to pay a £15 administration fee in order to process your application. And then you might need to provide some supplementary information if it's not already been supplied. So for example, CPD records, or that's 3 years worth, or since you've become a member. And just ensure you just keep an eye out for any emails from us in relation to an application. Then once your application is kind of okay in terms of being complete and okay to be sent to assessors, it's allocated to a set of assessors for review. All of our assessors are volunteers, and they are experts and all full members, at least full members working in the field. So like many of you, they kind of potentially, there are kind of seasonal pressures, and so your application won't necessarily be sent out for assessment straight away, but just at this time of year that we're approaching, we'd say it's probably a good time to start thinking about upgrading and getting a form in if you're ready to. And you will be updated throughout the whole process, and we'll let you know when your application's review. And when we've received feedback from all the assessors reviewing the application, we will get back in touch as soon as we can to let you know the outcome, and then hopefully then you can celebrate your success. Some people do ask, what happens if I am unsuccessful? That's absolutely fine. Should you be unsuccessful, and one or more of your competency statements does not meet the required competence level, you'll be provided with feedback and a resubmission form. That's a light touch version of the main form. And then you just kind of resubmit those competencies that you haven't been successful in. Successful competencies will be carried forward and you don't need to rewrite these again. So at the capable level of those competencies can be held against your member record for 3 years. So just to go to where to find more information, there are many useful resources that we do encourage you to use, but appreciate, if you can't find them, you just need to potentially, speak to one of us. For more information, it's go to our Join CIEEM pages of the website. And also, if you're already a member, there is more information as well in the How to Upgrade section of the My CIEEM area of the website. To work on an upgrade, you would need to download the competency framework, an application form, and the related guidance document as an essential things that you'll need for filling out that form. Just always check back on our website for latest versions, as we are always trying to take on board what members are saying and improve the process for applicants. On the applying for membership pages, we've also got some links to copies of kind of helpful in practice articles, which give top tips from membership assessors and might helpfully improve your application. And there is also some top tips and FAQ page with lots of answers to some queries that we are common queries that we do receive. And if you just can't find an answer to your question or any of the information, just please email the membership team and we'll be happy to help or send anything across. And remember to support, just ask for support from your sponsors as well, because that's potentially something that is an important part of the process. Just to let you know, this is the web page I've been referring to for where you need to go for some resources. It's under the Join CIEEM, and it's then called Applying for Membership. And then, just please do get in touch if you need. And we're going to just have Christy go back to her briefly, just to tell us a bit more about the mentoring platform, as that's something else that you can possibly use.
Thanks very much, Saz. Okay, so mentoring. So if you're not quite ready to upgrade and would like to seek advice and support from other members, you can do so via our mentoring platform. This platform is open to members only, and you can join it and build a profile to kind of show what you're looking to gain skills in or advice in. And mentors and mentees are then matched together using an algorithm base on the information provided in your profile. The platform enables you to build a relationship with other members and benefit from their experience. It's one of our newest tools, a member benefit, that we launched at the start of 2020. We have lots of mentors registered who have a wealth of knowledge and experience in the sector and who are ready and waiting to help you progress your career with goal setting and ongoing support. The feedback from our mentors about the unexpected benefits that they are finding from being involved is great. It's not just a warm, fuzzy feeling of knowing you're supporting others and helping the sector, but also the things that they are learning themselves. So it only takes a couple of minutes to sign up as a mentee or mentor or both. So why not see how this could help you overcome that small hurdle or achieve that enormous goal? Whether you are a student early on in starting your career, mid-career, or if you've been in the sector for a few years, the key to ensuring career progression is knowing where you currently are, knowing where you want to get to, and then planning what to do to get you there. Remember, this is where our competency framework comes in and demonstrates itself as an incredibly useful tool. Okay, so membership benefits. Just a bit of a reminder that the benefits of membership can help you at all stages of your career to develop yourself professionally. So do make the most out of them. Don't forget, members at all grades can access reduced rates for all of our events. Those on low incomes can also access low income rates, which are reduced even further. So if you do qualify for a low income rate, you will gain free access to all of our webinars, even the paid for ones, and very reduced rates on our training and events. All of our members are allocated a geographic section, which means they can join in with local member network events and volunteer their member network with their local member network committee. As a member, you can become part of one of our special interest groups, access member-only SIEEM publications, including our best practice guidance, and as previously mentioned quite a lot, that you can plan and record your CPD on our CPD tool. Okay, so that kind of brings the session to an end. Please do connect with us. So we have Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So just to let you know, please do connect with us on those platforms. And thank you very much for your time today. And we hope you found this useful. And we will now answer any questions that have come in. And it looks like quite a few have come in. So Saz, they might be mainly aimed at you. As
that's absolutely fine. I have tried to answer one in the chat about so can sponsors be from outside of the UK? That's absolutely fine. If you're going to use non-member sponsors, they just need to basically attach the CV or a work profile, because when they come into us as the membership team, we need to assess that they are of a level of suitable to be a sponsor. So they can come from, you can be outside of the UK, but we just need to assess that they're at a suitable level in terms of their sort of position or their if they're a senior role or not. So that's I did answer one, and that was a typed one.
Yes.
Then I think there's another one here from Molly, and I'm just in the chat, and then I thought if I looked at the chat and then come over
if everyone
Q&A.
could pop your questions in the Q&A box, it would be really helpful. But yeah, we will answer the chat too.
The other chat one that we've got here from Molly was, hi, do you need to be at a capable level of all competencies in both technical and the transferables before you can consider upgrading? Or should we be looking at a certain ecological area using 7 competencies? So basically, I'm taking that as basically you do need to be at the capable level for all 7 of your competencies. If you have got a bit of a kind of area of expertise that you're going down, they can be from one kind of theme. So when I talk about the competency framework, you can potentially be kind of really good at this surveying one. And so you can pick all your technical competencies from surveying. So that's where hopefully that has hopefully helped answer Molly's question. If it hasn't, just we'll see that. Oh no, Molly said that's fine. And then we've got one from Zoe, and it says, so there's 2 questions here. So it might be one for you, Christy, because it's about CPD. Yeah. One of them's regarding structured CPD, and you mentioned that online webinars could be counted towards this, but most of the webinars don't give a certificate that we attend. So what kind of evidence can we provide that we do attend? So that's the first question.
Yeah, so for webinars, because we have so many participants, it's quite difficult for us for admin time to kind of disseminate certificates for attendance on webinars.
And that's okay.
So I would
just the tool. You can still put it in the tool.
It's still completely, it's absolutely fine if you just record that on My Career Path and kind of say the title, the date, and learning outcomes from the webinar, and perhaps some reflection on what you took away from that webinar. Then that would be, that's absolutely fine. But unfortunately, we just can't provide certificates for each.
Yeah, and that's
webinar.
Fine for the membership upgrades as well, just so that we can see some CPD, and like the Christy says, just put it in, just make sure you're remembering dates and making a note as you go, because I appreciate quite a lot of it is at the moment potentially online still as well. The second question potentially is maybe for me, was saying about the second question is regarding the upgrading process. What happens if someone's not ready for upgrading in 3 years? Do they have to reapply for qualifying membership and try again in 3 years? Or is that they're at the end of their college career? So this is a question that I thought might come up. And I think at the moment, it's going to be quite bespoke and very individual for different circumstances and different people. So at the moment, I would say if you've got a situation where you're unsure about upgrading, so there are some qualifying members who might be coming to the end of their 3 years. They've just potentially renewed, because we've just entered a new subscription year at the beginning of October. Those qualifying members have this subscription year. If their 3 years is going to be up, and we're going to communicate a bit more in the new year about that. If that 3 years is then up, you basically have until what is kind of the end of September, and you need to think about this subscription year about upgrading. If you're not ready and you don't feel ready to, I think at the moment, then it might just be get in touch with the membership team, possibly as soon as possible, if you're kind of thinking, this is my circumstance, this is what I have and haven't been doing, and then we can try and help answer that. Once we get a sort of indication of where our members are and how, kind of we get a bit more kind of sort of feel for how people and how our qualifying members who've reached this 3 years, how they're doing. We'll keep updating and providing information, getting FAQs, and we'll be able to answer these questions potentially in a bit more depth. But at the moment, I think it's a bit bespoke and a bit kind of one-to-one basis. There's one about how do you access low income rates for CIEEM training courses. That's going through our finance team, isn't it, Christy?
So it's just about, I'll pop a link in the chat for that one, but it's just emailing our inquiries at same.net, and they can give you a bit more information in the form to fill out, but I'll send the link in the chat for that one.
Thanks, Christy. And then the other one that's in the chat that I think we've just got left in the chat to answer is James has asked, can you apply to upgrade within the 3 years? So that's another so that's absolutely fine. If you are ready to apply and you're sort of, this is the thing with qualifying membership, we know that some people might have experience sooner rather than later. It might be within a year, within 2, or it might be that people's circumstances are so different. It's that kind of, quite a weird timing that we have had different experience if people have been able to gain experience and things. So it's just whether or not you're still engaged in the if you're thinking you're not able to upgrade, it's whether or not you're still engaging in the sector and still trying to do some volunteering or something. And then if you're actually kind of have actually got some experience, you think you're at the capable level, you can go for it sooner rather than later. Just make sure you get all the information together and do a really good form, because you've got to demonstrate to assessors that you're at a capable level of competence, hence why it's all that extra sort of stuff that we sort of say about like the STAIR method and things like that. I think that's all the chat ones, Christy.
Yes, we've done all the chat. Thank you very much, everyone. So if we move on to the Q&A.
Okay.
So Ali, I'm not quite sure on this one because it's more about what membership, what information is provided from membership. But if your application is currently under review for membership to CIEEM, do you have access to the CPD tool?
Yeah, so I suppose that's the question is, so if I'm just assuming that kind of we're talking to everyone who is already a member and have that access to the CPD tool, because it's a member benefit to have access to a CPD tool. So you would be using the CPD tool, using it, and then you might apply and submit an application form. At that point, we do the checks on the CPD, and we will check that there is enough CPD to take it forward to assessors. You still have access behind the scenes to add to the CPD tool and keep adding, and you still are able to use that while you have an application to upgrade with us. It's just at one point we need to make the check and okay it so that it can then go to assessors. Hopefully that's okay, Christy, for that one.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Taz. Just a quick one from Joanne. Please can we have access to the recording in the PowerPoint? So we have recorded this session and we will share that with everybody later on today. And we can also PDF the slides and send them across.
Real. Thanks, Christy.
So Sam asks, I'm going to finish 3 years as a qualifying member in February, but I will not be ready to apply for associate until February 2023. Did you say I cannot be a qualifying member past 3 years? I think
yes. So
touched on this.
Yeah, I think I probably potentially have hopefully answered that one in the other question in the chat. I think, Sam, it is a case of just getting in touch, seeing how you go into the new year, and we will then send more and more information out to those people who are at that kind of stage of that kind of timing where they need to act and do something. But if it's still kind of you're thinking you might be ready at one point, it's just not within that 3 years, I think you need to be getting in touch, and we'll help you out and so that we can work out what we're going to do to support you. And if you're still in the sector, it's not like we want to just say, okay, you can't have CIEEM membership, and there might be stuff we can do and to support you still, but it's just we've probably at the moment just get in touch with that one.
Brilliant. There's a couple of questions from Ashley that I'll combine together. So Ashley's a qualifying member, but now in a senior role. Can she upgrade straight to full?
Yep.
And then also, I wish to apply, but I find it difficult to get sponsors, members or not. We all know how busy ecology firms are at the moment. Do you have any advice for obtaining 2 sponsors and their information if needed?
So yes, you can go straight for full if you think that that's an accomplished level. So the accomplished level of membership is full membership. Just take into account that it is a bit of more of a kind of jump in terms of it can be, it's absolutely fine. It can be done. It's what people can't do because their experience means they can go to it. Just make sure you kind of take a real look at that competency framework and acknowledging what it is that is pushing you above and beyond that kind of capable level and why you're accomplished. Assessors do like to sort of see breadth and depth of knowledge. At an accomplished level, there'll be a lot more kind of complexity, like you'll be working on more kind of larger scale complex projects. So yeah, you just need to take into account what the accomplished level means, and you can go for it, and you can just yeah, don't have to go to associate membership. In terms of sponsors, we've actually removed in April of this year, we've removed the requirement of sponsors having to make statements. So that's quite a relatively new thing, and we kind of not necessarily everyone will know that they don't have to actually make statements themselves. That was from feedback from members and people who'd applied to upgrade, to say that like it is a difficult thing to do and it is quite an onerous process. So we've tried to remove the fact that it is an onerous thing for sponsors by removing the fact that they have to make statements, but they do still need to support applications. So you still need 2 sponsors at a right suitable level. And they basically you still have to go to them, and hopefully them knowing that they don't have to make actual statements about your competency might remove that kind of difficulty about, you know, people approaching people, because we've made this sort of system a bit simpler for that, but we still need sponsors and we need 2. So if you've got more questions and it gets you're not sure and it's going to put you off putting in a form, just please get in touch, because we can try and help and answer it. So we'd rather people just ask questions. Yeah, if it's not on the webinar, membership@CIEEM.net is how you can access the team. Okay, so I think that might be Ashley's done.
Yeah, and James, I think you've covered qualified member requires 3 years of CPD before upgrading to associate member. It is therefore the case that you have to be a qualifying member for 3 years.
No, so you can be basically our requirement of CPD. So some people might not upgrade. Some people might come in as a qualifying member and they might need the entire 3 years that they have to kind of upgrade their membership, and that's 3 years worth of CPD. If someone's only come in as a sort of qualifying member and it was potentially at the end of 2020, but want to upgrade next year, then the CPD is only a requirement for when you're a member of CIEEM. So CPD is a requirement for CIEEM members. If you weren't a member of CIEEM, then CPD wasn't a requirement. It doesn't matter, you know, it's since you've been a member of CIEEM that we're expecting you to see CPD. So hopefully that helps that one.
Fab, thank you, Saz. So Alice asks, can both sponsors work at the same company?
Yes, they can. Yeah, that was another thing that kind of is one of those things that we have asked, and it is kind of a common question. I think even now it might be an FAQ thing that we have on our website to say sponsors can work at the same company, because it might be you've worked there, that's all you've ever done. It might be that you've worked there a longer time. So they can be within the same company, because we appreciate it's this thing about getting sponsors. So yes, they can be at the same sponsor at the same company.
Fab. Another question. I had my membership refused as I had filled in something wrong, but no one told me before it went to the assessors. Is this now covered in the £15 admin fee?
So I'm just going to, I'd filled in something wrong, but no one told me before it went to the assessors. Is this now covered in the £15 admin fee? So in terms of, if you go for a qualifying membership application, and we look at it and we start processing it, there's £15 admin fees associated with applying for membership. So student doesn't have an admin fee, student membership, but every other grade, the qualifying associate full has the £15 admin fee associated. So it could be that we worked on an application. So if it was at the qualifying level and we've worked on an application as a membership team, we've done checks, we've kind of started doing it, and then someone's not got back to us, then that sometimes means it's withdrawn. If it's at the associate or associate membership level and someone's gone for associate membership, we can only, as a team, as a membership team, check kind of the admin side of it. We can't check if your competencies are kind of right or wrong. So competency statements are assessed by our volunteer assessors. they then provide feedback to us, and then we'll give feedback to say to someone, you know, this competency isn't right because this or this, so someone needs to go away and improve it. And then someone can then resubmit a light touch version of a form, and then that is £15 for us to retouch and reprocess that and to work it through the process. So if there's something that I haven't quite answered, or you were unsure of what's happened there with that, just can you get in touch maybe, because I can always look into it.
Thanks, Saz. Another question. Is it possible to get a university lecturer to sponsor your associate membership application, even though they're not a member of CIEEM, but they are involved in ecological research?
Yeah, so if they're involved in ecological research and possibly they were your own, you know, lecturer who was involved in your research that you might have done, and you know, like you've done like a dissertation or thesis or something, then they could be a good sponsor. You might just need to read what is our applying for membership guidance document, and then we have the guidance for sponsors, just to read through the sponsor section so that you're just fully sure that they are appropriate. They're just basically needed in this process because you know, you're coming to us, it's all on paper, there's no sort of interview process, so sponsors are kind of coming in and sort of indicating that you are at that capable level and supporting you. It sounds like a university lecturer could be a good possible sponsor, but just read a bit more if you do need to about who to choose for a sponsor. They sort of do need to know you kind of well enough to support you, maybe know you more than just a couple of months even, but yeah, just if sponsors is something that you're worried about, or you can't fill in out of form yet because you're not sure about who to use, then just get in touch, please. That we just never mind questions, because we just really want to support our members to get upgrading, really. All right,
fab, thank you. Another question, if the return time is 3 to 4 months, can you still update your CPD log to reflect any additional CPD you complete within this time?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're still welcome to go in and log CPD, but I'm not sure if that would then reflect on your application.
Yeah, that's right.
Already been submitted.
Yeah, that's right, Christy. So basically, you've got to get a point. Please just remember that maybe CPD is important to get you to the point where we can send it to assessors, so that we know that you've been kind of abiding by what, as a member, you know, you've been completing CPD. So once that net goes off for assessors, your really key focus to get a good application form through is to work on that competency section. It's the 7 statements that you make and that you do. So you obviously CPD and experience helps you write those statements, and that's what you're then assessed against. So in the background, if you're still doing stuff, that's great to update and to put onto the CPD tool. But once it comes into us as a submission, goes to assessors, that's then kind of like enough, you know, we don't need to touch back on CPD, and the assessors are looking at that competency section and checking that, you know, you're meeting a capable level requirements in relation to the competency framework.
Thanks, Saz. I think this is a question for me. So from Lucy, what kind of thing do we need to do? What kind of thing do we need to record as CPD? So she says, my daily job includes surveys and report writing, and the CPD I record usually relates to things I don't do usually, or training courses. Do I need to record information about my daily work? For example, recording interesting surveys I've partaken in. Most of the evidence of the competence probably isn't recorded as CPD. It's just part of my daily job. So the way we kind of look at CPD is it can be part of your daily job as long as it's a new skill that you've learnt, and you can kind of show how that's helping to progress your career. But if it's something you're doing repetitively every day, that does not count towards CPD. So it's really kind of a new skill that you're learning, that's helping you with your career progression. So whether that does happen in your daily job or outside of your job, it still counts towards CPD, but it's just key to not repeat the same activity, because yes, it helped you it helped you the first time, but obviously the more you do it, the more competent you become. So it's just about looking at your strengths and weaknesses and areas that you could learn a new skill in that would relate to a competency that you haven't yet developed in. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And we only require 30 hours as a minimum. Some people do record, you know, thousands of hours on CPD. So you don't necessarily have to record every single thing, but it's more about the key skills that you've learned and how that's helped you with your career progression.
I think there's another CPD one as well then. Is it a requirement to use the CPD tool on the CIEEM website, or can we use our own, like a formatted Excel?
Yeah, so unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, we have a great CPD tool, which once you get used to it and learn how it works, it's a really simple and useful tool to use. We do only require members to complete their CPD via the tool now and submit it via the tool. This is mainly because it's a useful place to store everything. And we also have, we carry out a CPD audit each year. So 5% of our members will be audited and their CPD will be checked. And we have kind of an online system built into that tool so that it's you can then submit your CPD via the online tool and have it assessed and comments sent back to you. So yes, please, if you can use the tool, that's really helpful.
And then I think we've kind of covered about if your membership's run out and you've resigned or you've lapsed, you can come back to CIEEM. You possibly need to reapply for a grade that then suits you when you are then reapplying. There's kind of a reinstatement for some of our members who've gone for sort of a membership and then within sort of 3 years want to come back to us at that grade. So it might be that people can reinstate if it's sort of within 3 years. So if you've got sort of personal circumstances that have meant that your membership's not current or you want to come back to CIEEM, then just be in touch, because we've got a couple of ways of being able to support you to come back to being a member.
Thanks, Saz.
I think there is another CPD one here that does actual professional work count as CPD 100 hours doing PEAs, PRAs, and BNG. Have you
I've covered that? Yeah, as long as you're learning a new skill, that's where it counts as CPD. Not just repeating the same survey, etc. It's just kind of reflecting on that and how that certain activity has helped with your professional development.
I think Larry's put, can both sponsors be colleagues? So sponsors can be colleagues. Just make sure that if you're going for associate membership, that they're either an associate membership level or above. They can't be qualifying member as well. They need to be at the level that you're going for. And also just the other thing is, mentioned, like if you're going to use non-members and they are your colleagues, and they've got to be at a certain level for us to say, they're a suitable sponsor. So colleagues can be used. I think even as a freelance, I think Joanne's put, as a freelance ecologist, will work colleagues be okay? So yes, that's absolutely fine. Work colleagues, clients, if you kind of have someone who you work regularly with, or if you kind of buddy up with people. So that's kind of sponsor stuff. I think
Lucy's question, have you answered that? Do you need to be a member of CIEEM / employment for 3 years in order to upgrade?
No, so that doesn't have to be. It's not like this 3 years isn't a requirement to have to meet 3 years to then upgrade. So it sounds like you've been, if in 2 years of employment and then going for an upgrade, absolutely fine to go for it. Just make sure you take on board everything we kind of have said about, going and working through a form, and just take that time to put together a form, because it will take you time, and it also takes us time to sort of put it through. I think there's a question from Michaela about being given qualifying membership and COVID and the lockdown and stuff, and the extra time. Is there any extra time to be able to be applied? So we're not, in terms of qualifying members, you can become a member through a subscription year, and we're not saying exactly in that month, 3 years later, you then you have to have done something. We're kind of rounding it up to the subscription year following. So we've got some people who are now entering what is their kind of 3rd year, and like, say, for instance, over this winter and kind of before before COVID have joined up and might need to start kind of doing something and upgrading. We kind of given people that timing where there's kind of a subscription year to do it. So they've been allowed to renew, and then their last sort of their 3rd and final year is approaching, and then they have till that sort of final the whole subscription year to upgrade. COVID-19's been something where we've tried to support members in different ways, and brought forward a few things that we try to do. some of our mentor member assistance program and a few things. Christy, I don't know with CPD and COVID if there's things that you know more about that CIEEM have been saying.
Yeah, so CPD has been discussed with our kind of governing committees, and it was agreed to still keep the 30 hours required CPD, mainly because we've provided a lot of online CPD over the past year. We had a lot of online conferences. We moved all of our training online, delivered even more online webinars. However, we are flexible, and if you are called up in the audit, please do explain your circumstances, and we will take that into consideration if you are pulled up in the audit from that CPD year. But yes, we have kept the hours the same.
Yeah, and I think we've done sort of scenarios where we've tried to be like as supportive as possible, but it's also if there's sort of bespoke circumstances, reasons, things that you kind of have, obviously, not to necessarily type into a chat and stuff, but it might just be needing a chat with myself in the team or even Christy. Then that's where I think maybe if you need to be in touch, then please do, because we've had different people come forward and sort of we don't want people to necessarily go away and worry that they haven't done something or haven't done enough or something. We want to feel like that you can get in touch and we can go over your what might have happened and why if you haven't had that professional experience to upgrade yet, that might be fine, and just being in touch.
That's it. The key is just contact us and we can help support you in any way we can.
Then we've got there's one about competencies. If you work in primarily GIS in the electrical centre, what competencies should you be looking at to work on? I'm not an assessor, so competencies, I don't work in the sector myself. I just help look after applicants and our assessors and feedback. I think that's a scenario where there are probably some in here that you've got definitely the transferable one. You've got IM2, information technology, because that's got use of GIS in there. In terms of the technical ones, I think it needs to be what sort of GIS what you can apply it to and which ones. I don't think out of the top of my head, and sort of keeping people on I know we've been an hour, I don't thinking off the top of my head. I think maybe the self-assessment tool might be a helpful thing there for potentially that person to go on and look at and actually work through all the competencies and applying their knowledge and their skill area for GIS. If need be, you can always use the mentoring platform. There's people who are mentors for helping people to upgrade. Also, maybe use your sponsors, managers, people who might have been through the process at work, who might actually have already been in the sector and doing similar stuff to you, or GIS role, and they might be able to say, well, actually, I did this skill in this skill area. So yeah, sorry, I can't quite specifically help, but hopefully the self-assessment tool might help, and maybe some colleagues as well.
Thanks, Saz. Appreciate we're over time. We've got 9 questions left. If
I'm happy to
whiz through them.
I'm happy to stay on. I know people have had to leave, so they probably had to go and do bits. But
this is recorded, so we'll share the recording with you if you have to leave. And if you do, thank you for joining. So, a question from Abby. Hi, are there a certain amount of years that you can be associate level before applying for a higher level membership?
No, so basically it's our competencies, our membership grades are all to do with competence and that area. I think it was kind of like one of the first slides I showed, where basically you kind of have membership grades that go with competencies. It's not years of experience in that case. It's all to do with your competence. So if you have got the skills and experience to go for an accomplished sooner rather than later, so you can be an associate member for a year, move on, and progress like that. So you don't have to say a member first. Once you get to the associate and full membership levels, it's all to do with competence, and you kind of move on when you can, and when you can progress those higher grades. The qualifying membership has this 3 years because of the fact that we need to help and support people early in the sector, but also have the progression there to kind of keep that grade as kind of probably as low cost as possible to people who we know need to have a kind of lower cost membership and have the sort of kind of the right communication. So that early career is kind of like that early career grade So that's why there's that kind of 3 years associated around qualifying, because our governing board, when they made the decision to sort of look at what the qualifying grade was when we closed graduate, they were saying actually after 3 years, it's about time that people hopefully should have that experience to be going towards associate membership. But apart from that, once you're at associate level or at full level, you don't, it's not about time, it's about your competence.
Fab, thank you, Saz. Question from Declan: is there detailed feedback if your application for associate is rejected?
Yeah, it is really what we try and do is pull together. So we have 3 assessors to 1 application, and so we have basically 3 people and 3 people's expertise, 3 people's feedback. They're also members and they do it to give something back to the sector, so they're trying to be kind of as supportive as possible. They use the competency framework and they have that to assess against, and I rework and collate feedback to give it back. So that kind of is potentially the biggest part of my job as looking after associate and volunteer application, associate and full applications, and looking after volunteers. We try and give back as constructive feedback as possible. We give our assessors guidance as to how to sort of produce that feedback, and they're trying to help people to give it another shot and to come back. So if you haven't got a successful competency, you do get feedback that comes from assessors. If you don't understand it and you need clarification, you just need to reply quite promptly so that it can go back, and I can then follow up with those assessors and say, like, okay, this just needs expanding on. Can you let me know what you actually meant by this? And that can go back to you. So it is as clear as and supportive as possible.
Thanks, Saz. Question here: I have until February 2023 to upgrade to associate membership. However, I'm due to go on maternity leave for 1 year in January 2022. Is there anything I can do to extend the time to upgrade?
So that's a really kind of a good timing to potentially know about the fact that we do actually have an abeyance for people who are not working. An abeyance is basically an agreement that you go into to basically put your membership. It's really on hold in a way, because you kind of at that time means you don't have to do CPD. That requirement is removed. You still get some information from us, and we do an electronic in practice, and there is a really good supportive abeyance sort of process that hopefully would be actually something you could do. So you going into abeyance basically, and being in touch with us before you go off on your maternity leave. So don't wait until it's when you return to work and then suddenly you're like, oh, my 3 years is up and I need to upgrade now. Get in touch with us potentially before you go on maternity leave, because that's when we can put your membership, and it reflects on your membership record that you've been in an abeyance with us, you haven't been working, your CPD requirement is removed, and then it's the most supportive thing we can probably do for you to be able to support you at that time.
Fab, thank you, Saz. So just 3 more questions to go. Sam asks, so thanks for a previous answer. When I apply for a membership grade, is it the last 3 years of CPD that is audited from the date I apply? Or is it same CPD year of October to October? So yeah, we work in CPD years, so it will be kind of, the last day of September to October each year that we look to kind of assess and audit.
Yep, thanks, Christy.
Anuska, okay, I think these last ones are probably for me. Can you explain the bit on the CPD evidence wizard where it says select a profile and there are options between CPD and the same competency framework? I always mark it as CPD, but I'm not sure if I'm using it correctly. So basically when you log into the My Career Path tool, you have a select a profile, and if you just select the same competency framework profile and just press save, that's all you need to do. You just need to leave that part alone now. That then enables you to go into the evidence area, type in an activity, and then it gives you, because you've selected that competency framework profile, it enables you then to select competencies against each CPD activity. So that's basically what that profile is there to do. If you just select CPD, you won't have the option to select competencies as well. So I would just recommend logging in, selecting that profile, and then adding competencies to each activity that you complete. And final question from Joanne. I've had to learn new things like collector when out on surveys at night. Would this count as using technology for CPD? Definitely, yeah. Like I've said, any new skill that does help with your career progression 100% counts. It's just making sure that that's not repeated every year. It's continually learning new skills that support your development. Another question from Joanne. I've done most of my CPD earlier in my career. Is this now not usable as CPD? The reason is that I have been working so hard that I haven't done a lot of these skills again recently. So, I mean, if it's the CPD that you have done, obviously does count towards your career progression. So it's, yeah, don't forget about that. Definitely.
Yeah, and it sort of builds, build your sort of skill set and your competency.
Yeah.
Being there. If you've taken that break, and that's why you're now having to rework hard to sort of regain skill sets.
And yeah, that's it. Even a refresher of a skill that you've previously learned would count towards CPD as well.
Yeah, and I think that's where I think if maybe, and even if it's a separate conversation to have, if there's a sort of scenario that's happened and it needs a sort of just a I think Jan's just said it's been working freelance, so that's the reasoning why. So it's not a break from work. So competencies are still there because you've been working. So that's
no, definitely. And appreciate life can get busy and in the way, so you can't always be learning new skills all the time. But it's just, I mean, it kind of works out a couple of hours a month of CPD that we're kind of asking for, and that could just be a couple of webinars that are useful to you in your career development if you don't get the chance to do a training course.
And even one like this sort of webinar,
this counts as
structured. I think that would, I think that might have been in the chat, and it was,
okay, last question from Sam. Does new learning at work doing surveys count? Yes, definitely. So that's a new skill that you've learned. So that 100% counts towards CPD.
It's just more the fact that I think it's sort of, Christy, where if someone goes and does that new skill, they've gone out and done it, they've done maybe a bit of a course for it, they've gone out and done it in their work to sort of get their skill going. They can't then just keep using that as a CPD thing because it's kind of their first sort of timing that they do that skill. They can't repeatedly then say, oh, well, I've done 50 hours of it, because it's actually, they can't, is that kind of the sort of thing where people have to be mindful of not just hitting their CPD with like one thing that they've just gone and learned that year. It's trying to get a range of stuff, isn't it?
So if you're completing a survey year after year, it would count as the first time you've learned how to do that survey. That would count as CPD, but then repeating it year after year, year after year,
that survey again.
Sam just says, would that be structured? And yes, it would be structured CPD. So if you go on our website, there's quite a bit of information that I've touched on today about CPD and the different types of CPD. So please do take a look there for further information.
And if I think we've put out I think it was on the slide, but it's cpd@CIEEM.net and it's membership@CIEEM.net is how you can get through to like me and Christy and like our teams to try and help. There's not many of us, like we're quite a small team at CIEEM, but we're happily try and get back to you when we can. I think that was all the questions. I did take a look at the chat. Thanks, everyone's been putting like thank yous, which is really nice.
It's so nice. Everyone's enjoyed it, so that's good.
Cheers. It's really sweet. Cool,
brilliant. Okay, well that kind of brings everything to a close. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And we've recorded, so we'll send the recording to you along with the slides. And I've also said I'll include competencies that you can use to record this webinar as CPD. Thank you, Saz, for all of your membership information.
That's right. Please just get in touch. I don't go away and think, that's like, don't feel overwhelmed or worried by the information. It's there to try and sort of help you think about it. If it's don't sort of put off putting an upgrade in because you don't know how to do something. Just get in touch completely. Just get in touch with the team, because we are here to help and we like hearing from you. So please,
we're not
just
scary.
All right,
thanks,
Fab,
everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy.
Thanks, Saz. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Cheers.
Bye.